right, so giant freaking monsters. Like, are you kidding me? We are talking skyscraper-sized, city-smashing behemoths. We're going deep on kaiju. Get ready for radioactive lizards,
Oh, yeah.
giant
We're
moths,
doing it.
and enough monster mayhem to make your head spin.
That's right. We're going deep on this stuff, way past just Godzilla stomping on Tokyo. Kaiju was a whole genre, like a monster movie explosion straight out of Japan.
Okay, so I know some of you guys out there are probably like Godzilla, King Kong. Yeah, seen the movies. But trust me, this is about to get way more interesting. We're going to unpack where these monsters came from, what they represent, and why they're still so damn popular.
Exactly. First things first, let's break down the term kaiju. It literally means strange beast in Japanese, and it goes way back, even popping up in folklore and stories about possible living dinosaurs back in the early 1900s.
Dinosaurs, now you're speaking my language. So every giant monster is a kaiju then, right?
Not so fast. There's a whole debate among fans about what actually makes a kaiju a kaiju. Some say it's just about size and monstrousness, while others argue it needs those Japanese roots and a certain level of city-leveling chaos.
Oh, so like, is King Kong a kaiju?
Yeah.
He's big, he's a beast, but he's American-made.
Right, yeah. That's the million-dollar question. Fans go back and forth on this one all the time. He's a giant ape, causes mayhem, but he doesn't come from Japanese cinema. It's a gray area, for sure.
It's like, what defines a monster?
Right.
What makes them more than just a big animal?
Yeah.
But let's get real. We got to talk about the OG, the king himself, Godzilla.
Absolutely. Godzilla is the granddaddy of kaiju, the one that really kicked off the whole genre. He was created by Toho Studios, and while they were definitely inspired by American monster movies, Godzilla was also a reflection of Japan's post-World War II anxieties, especially after the atomic bombings.
Dude, the 1954 Godzilla film is a straight-up classic. Not just because of the awesome suitmation and effects, which, by the way, they did with dudes in rubber suits, but because it's seriously dark and messed up. This ain't no kitty monster movie.
Right. Godzilla became a symbol of nuclear fear, a walking embodiment of the destructive power of the atom. They were dealing with some heavy stuff, man, turning those anxieties into a monster that became a cultural icon.
So we've got Godzilla the poster child for kaiju angst. But what about yokai? Aren't those Japanese monsters too?
Yokai are definitely monsters, but they're more like traditional folklore creatures. Think spirits, demons, mythical beings, often with moral lessons attached to them.
Okay, so like the creepy stuff your grandma warned you about to make you behave.
Yeah, exactly. Kaiju, though, are more modern creations reflecting contemporary anxieties. But there are some cool connections. For instance, the Kumonga spider kaiju was straight up inspired by a yokai legend about a giant spider that eats people.
Dude, giant spiders are nightmare fuel as is, and now you're telling me they inspired a kaiju. Thanks, I hate it.
It just shows how Japanese folklore and modern monster movies are kind of intertwined, which I think is super cool.
So we've got Godzilla as the king, but he's not the only monster in the Toho Monsterverse, right? He's got a whole crew of freaky friends and foes.
Oh yeah, Godzilla's got a whole posse. There's Rodan, the giant pteranodon, Mothra, the benevolent moth goddess.
Wait, a giant moth goddess? That's actually kind of badass.
And of course there's King Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon, and Godzilla's arch nemesis.
3 heads. That's just showing off. But it's not all just mindless monster brawls, right? These creatures must represent something deeper, right?
Totally. They each have their own symbolic weight. Mothra, for example, represents peace and balance, while Rodan, like Godzilla, often embodies the threat of nuclear power, and Ghidorah, pure chaos and destruction.
The ultimate bad guy, basically.
And Toho wasn't afraid to mix it up. Remember that time they brought King Kong into the ring for a legendary showdown in the 1962 film King Kong vs. Godzilla?
No way, seriously, I gotta see that. But hold on, Toho wasn't the only one making awesome kaiju movies, right? What about other franchises and creations?
Oh man, there's a whole universe of kaiju beyond Godzilla and Toho. Like, have you ever heard of Ultraman?
Ultraman. Kind of rings a bell. Isn't that like a Japanese Power Rangers thing?
It's similar, but way more badass.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a series where giant alien heroes,
Okay.
not kaiju themselves, but definitely in that same giant size category, fight off hordes of invading kaiju.
So it's like good giant versus evil giant. Sounds epic.
Totally. Some of the most iconic Ultraman kaiju are Zetnan and Bemular. And then there's Gamera, this giant turtle-like kaiju who's got a serious cult following.
All right.
They even announced a Gamera reboot for Netflix a while back.
Gamera on Netflix. Now that's what I'm talking about.
And if you're into manga, you gotta check out Kaiju no 8. It's a fresh take on the whole genre about a dude who can transform into a kaiju and uses his powers to get to chase his dreams.
Wait, a kaiju with dreams? That's kind of adorable in a terrifying city-smashing kind of way. But what about American movies? Did Hollywood ever really embrace the whole kaiju thing?
They definitely tried. Guillermo del Toro's Pacific Rim is a great example. It totally leans into that Godzilla vibe, giant robots battling giant monsters, but it also brings in some cool environmental themes like the kaiju being consequence of pollution and climate change.
Yeah, Pacific Rim was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Giant robots punching giant monsters. Sign me up.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's not just about the spectacle. There's like a deeper message there.
Exactly. Del Toro's smart like that. He's showing how our actions have consequences, how we might create the very monsters that come back to haunt us.
Whoa, that's deep, man.
And then you've got the more recent MonsterVerse movies like the 2014 Godzilla and Godzilla, King of the Monsters. They're more about the spectacle, less about the deeper themes, but still a fun ride if you're into giant monster brawls.
Hey, sometimes you just want to see stuff get destroyed.
Yeah.
You know, no judgment here. But speaking of spectacle, can we talk about how they actually made these movies back in the day? Especially those classic Toho films with the guys in rubber suits?
Dude, the suitmation process was insane. Those suits were heavy, hot, and restrictive, and those actors had to perform these crazy moves while battling miniature sets, pyrotechnics, and sometimes even each other.
Seriously, how did they even see where they were going in those things? Must have been a total sweatbox in there.
Often they couldn't see much at all. They had to rely on cues from the director, their own spatial awareness, and a whole lot of trust. Talk about a leap of faith.
Man, that's dedication. But you gotta admit, those old school effects have a certain charm that CGI just can't replicate. There's something about knowing that it's a real dude in a suit stalking around that makes it more, I don't know, tangible.
Totally. There's a weight and presence to those practical effects that you just don't get with digital monsters. You feel the impact of every step, every punch, every building getting smashed.
It's like you can practically smell the rubber and sweat, right?
And it's not just the suitmation. They used all sorts of old school techniques like miniatures, forced perspective, matte paintings. It was a whole art form, man. These guys were basically creating movie magic on a shoestring budget.
It's mind-blowing how creative they had to be, and they pulled it off without computers.
And let's not forget the designs of the kaiju themselves. Each one had its own unique look, its own personality conveyed through those rubbery scales and monstrous features.
You're right. Think about Godzilla's iconic silhouette. The dorsal fins, the terrifying roar, instantly recognizable.
They were true visionaries, those designers and craftsmen, creating characters that would capture the imagination of generations. But it wasn't just about the looks. It was about how those monsters moved, how they interacted with the world. They had to be believable as living, breathing creatures, even if they were made of rubber and foam.
It's true. Like Godzilla's lumbering gait, the way he seems to radiate both power and sorrow. How do you even convey that with a guy in a suit?
It's a testament to the talent of those suit actors. They weren't just stuntmen, they were performers, artists who brought these creatures to life with their movements and their well sweat.
They really were the unsung heroes of the kaiju genre. But hey, it's not all about the visuals, right? What about the music? Those kaiju scores are epic.
Dude, the music is so crucial to setting the mood, building the tension, making you feel the weight of those giant monsters stomping around. Think about that iconic Godzilla theme song, that heavy march. It's like, giant lizard is coming to wreck your shit run.
You can't hear that music and not picture Godzilla level in Tokyo. But it's not just about the bombastic stuff, right?
Totally. There are also those quieter, more melancholic themes that play during the human moments, the scenes of loss and sacrifice. It reminds you that there are real people caught in the middle of all this monster mayhem.
It's like even with giant monsters and laser beams, there's still a human story at the heart of it all.
And the music helps bring that story to life. It connects us to the characters, makes us feel their fear, their hope, their determination to survive.
It's crazy how powerful music can be. It can make you feel all those emotions, even when you're watching a movie about a giant moth goddess fighting a three-headed space dragon.
Exactly. It's like the music is the glue that holds the whole crazy thing together. It makes the absurd somehow believable, the fantastical somehow relatable.
So we've talked about Japanese kaiju, but have they ever really made it into Western storytelling, like beyond King Kong and Pacific Rim?
Oh, for sure. Kaiju have snuck into Western pop culture in all sorts of ways. You see it in video games, comics, even literature. Like, take the Cloverfield franchise. It's this found-footage monster movie series that plays on our fear of the unknown.
Oh man, Cloverfield freaked me out. That shaky cam, the glimpses of the monster, the sheer scale of the destruction.
Yeah.
Pure nightmare fuel.
And that's what makes kaiju so effective. They're not just monsters, they're forces of nature, embodiments of chaos, things that defy our easy categorization.
And that's terrifying. But okay, let's shift gears for a sec. We've talked about how awesome these movies are, but let's be real. Some of them, especially the older ones, can be pretty cheesy.
Oh, absolutely. The acting can be over the top, the dialogue clunky, and the special effects, well, they haven't exactly aged gracefully.
So bad it's good kind of thing.
There's definitely an element of that, but I think it's more than just ironic enjoyment. It's the earnestness with which these films approach their outlandish premises. They're not afraid to be silly, to embrace the absurdity of these giant monster battles.
You're saying it's like they're in on the joke.
In a way, yeah. They're winking at the audience saying, we know this is crazy, but come on, it's fun, right? And that sincerity is infectious. It makes those movies more enjoyable even when they're objectively bad.
It's like you can feel the passion behind them, even if the budget was low and the acting was a little rough around the edges.
Exactly. And I think that's what sets them apart from a lot of modern blockbusters. Those older kaiju films have a heart, a sense of wonder and creativity that shines through even with their limitations.
It's like they were made with love, even if they weren't always perfect.
Exactly. And I think that's something audiences can sense. It's why these films have endured for so long and why they continue to inspire new generations of filmmakers.
All right, I gotta ask, what's your favorite kaiju movie? Don't hold back. Give me your top pick.
Man, that's a tough one. There are so many great choices, but if I had to pick just one, I'd probably go with the original 1954 Godzilla. It's just a masterpiece of genre filmmaking.
The classic choice, but a good one. I mean, it all started with Godzilla, right? He set the standard for what a kaiju movie could be.
Absolutely. It's a film that works on so many levels. It's a thrilling monster movie, a poignant reflection on the horrors of war, and a visually stunning achievement for its time.
And it gave us that iconic Godzilla roar.
The ultimate kaiju sound effect, isn't it? A perfect blend of power menace and a hint of sadness.
Okay, last question. Where do you think the kaiju genre is headed? Will we keep seeing these giant monster movies for years to come?
Oh, for sure. As long as we have fears, anxieties, and a fascination with the unknown, there will be a place for kaiju in our stories.
Because sometimes the only way to face our demons is to make them 100 feet tall and give them atomic breath.
Exactly. And besides, who doesn't love seeing giant monsters smash stuff? It's pure cathartic entertainment.
All right, I'm sold. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the world of kaiju, what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from all this?
I think the most important thing is to remember that kaiju are more than just mindless monsters. They're reflections of ourselves, our fears, our hopes, our capacity for both creation and destruction. They're powerful metaphors that can challenge us, entertain us, and ultimately help us understand ourselves a little better.
Deep. I love it. And who knows, maybe they'll even inspire us to create our own kaiju stories someday.
Now, that would be something to see.
All right, folks. That's all the kaiju craziness we can handle for now. Go watch some monster movies, read some manga, and let your imaginations run wild.
And remember, keep an eye out for those hidden metaphors. You never know what these giant creatures might be trying to tell us.
See ya. You know, it's kind of crazy how these kaiju, these monsters from like Japanese culture, right? They've become this like global thing. Everybody loves a good giant monster flick.
It's true. It's like this universal language tapping into some primal fear and fascination that we all have.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not just a straight copy paste from Japan, though, right?
Yeah.
It feels like different countries have taken the whole kaiju concept and kind of remixed it to fit their own like anxieties and stories, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like you look at American monster movies like Cloverfield or the giant robot battles in Pacific Rim, it's like the blueprint for a kaiju has been adapted and reinterpreted to fit all these different cultural contexts. It's really fascinating to see how these creatures kind of evolve and take on new meanings over time.
So it's less about a specific monster and more about this like archetype, this idea of this colossal creature that represents something bigger. You know?
Totally. It's about tapping into those primal fears, right? Like
Yeah.
nuclear war or environmental collapse or just the sheer raw power of nature.
Makes sense. But okay, let's be real for a sec. Some of these kaiju movies, especially the older ones, can be pretty cheesy sometimes. Like bad acting, clunky dialogue.
Yeah.
The special effects haven't exactly aged well, let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. There's a definite campy charm to a lot of those films.
Yeah.
But I think, honestly, that's part of what makes them so appealing.
So bad, it's good territory.
There's an element of that for sure. But I think it goes deeper than that. It's like that earnestness, the sincerity they bring to these totally crazy stories. They're not afraid to be silly, to just go for it with the absurdity of it all.
You're saying it's like they're not taking themselves too seriously.
Exactly. And that lets the audience have fun with it, too. It's like we're all in on the joke, enjoying the spectacle. And hey, maybe even finding some deeper meaning in there somewhere.
Yeah, I get that. It's like they're made with love, even if they're not always perfect from a technical standpoint.
That's a great way to put it, I think. And it's something that really resonates with people, even if they don't always realize it.
Okay, I gotta ask, what is your favorite kaiju movie? And don't hold back, man.
Oh, man. That is such a tough question. There are so many good ones. But if I had to pick just one, I'd probably have to go with the original 1954 Godzilla. It's such a groundbreaking film as a monster movie, but also as like a commentary on the post-war world.
A classic for a reason, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it all started with Godzilla, right? He really set the standard for what a kaiju movie could be.
Totally. And it's a film that still holds up today. It's got this raw power that goes beyond any of its technical limitations. And that roar chills every time.
Okay, so we spent a lot of time talking about giant monsters, their history, their cultural impact, even the cheesy parts. But as we wrap up this like kaiju-sized deep dive, what's the main thing you want listeners to take away from all of this?
I think the most important thing is to remember that kaiju are more than just mindless monsters. They're reflections of us, our fears, our hopes, our potential for both good and bad. And engaging with these stories, whether it's through movies or comics or whatever, can help us understand those parts of ourselves a little better, I think.
Deep. I like it. Maybe you'll even inspire some people out there to create their own kaiju stories.
That would be awesome to see.
Well, that's all the time we've got for today. So go watch some monster movies, read some manga, and let your imaginations run wild.
And don't forget to keep an eye out for those hidden metaphors. You never know what these giant creatures are trying to tell us.
See ya!